boys and girls. So today is our last day for our Frankly Franny Check Please book. We will be finishing this book today. And as we're finishing this book, I want to think back about something that we learned while reading our last book, Frankly Franny. We talked about how at the end of stories, authors tend to teach the reader something. There's some lessons that the author wants the reader to learn. So in our last book, one of the lessons that our author taught us was that if we do something bad or we make a mistake, that we should apologize for it, and it would make us feel better. Remember how Franny acted at the end of our other book? And when she apologized to Mr. Sanders and the mayor, it made her feel so much better inside because she was feeling really bad about what she had done. Remember, she even threw her resume away. She kind of was giving up. Then when she apologized, she was feeling totally better. That was one of the lessons that our author was teaching us in our last book. So today, I want you to think about what is the lesson that our author, A.J. Stern, is teaching us. We stopped in the middle of chapter 11. Franny was just about to get on the phone. Her mom said, "You have to call Maria Cross and apologize." And Franny's really nervous about talking to adults that she doesn't even know. So she's getting on the phone. She grabs her jelly beans, which will make her feel better. And the phone rings. Finally, a woman picks up. And that's where we left off. So let's continue reading. "Hello?" a woman's voice said. "Hi, may I speak to Maria Cross, the very famous restaurant reviewer?" I asked. That is when the lady giggled and said, "Well, who may I say is calling?" "This is Franny B. Miller of Chester, New York. I am actually and nevertheless a food critic myself, and I have some very important information to give her." "Is that so?" "It really is," I said. Franny on the phone with Maria Cross, looks like. "Well, you're in luck," the lady said, "because you're talking to Maria Cross." I gasped. "Wow," I said. "Wow, indeed," she responded. "Indeed is a very wonderful word that grown-ups use that I need to remember. So, what's this very important information you have for me?" "I'm the one who sent you the note at Balloon saying that the restaurant had bugs in the kitchen, but it turns out they were not bugs at all. What they were exactly was snails. My parents told me that adults eat snails, so I need to tell you that I was wrong. There were no bugs at that Balloon restaurant." "Actually," said Maria, "snails like clams and squids are mollusks, not insects." That was a word that I have never heard before. "They're mullets?" I asked. That is when Maria Cross laughed really hard out loud. I would have laughed too, but I didn't know what was so funny. "Mullets are really bad haircuts," she explained, and that is when, instead of snails, I pictured a lot of bad haircuts on a plate and laughed out loud too. "About the note," she continued, "I'm afraid it wasn't me you gave it to." I was stumpified. "It wasn't?" "No, I haven't even been to Baloo yet. I'm going next Friday night." "Oh," I said. "Then who did I give the note to?" "I don't know, but I'm sure you gave her quite a scare." "I did. She ran out of the restaurant screaming." This made Maria laugh right out loud again. "You are quite a character, Franny B. Miller," Maria Cross said. Then she asked, "What else did you say in your review?" "Well, I said there was a waterfall in the bathroom, and there were sprays that smelled like roses. I also said that I didn't know why they left the N off the word balloon." Then she laughed out loud. "Franny, you sound like a lot of fun." "I am," I said. But then I worried that I sounded too braggish, so I added, "At least sometimes." "Say, would you like to be my dinner companion next Friday night at Baloo? You could help me write my review, and I certainly would like to see the review you wrote." I sucked in a fast gulp of happiness. "Really?" I asked. "Really," she said. "Hang on and I'll go ask my mom." Then I ran down the hall yelling in the most excitified way, and she said yes. And then I went back on the phone and I made grown-up plans with Maria Cross to review Balloon for the second time. Chapter 13. My parents were still pretty angry at me and had some conditions about going back to Balloon. First, I had to apologize to the actual owner of Balloon before going back for another meal. Plus, I had to think of a way to show the owner that I was sorry instead of just saying I was sorry. That was a really hard thing to figure out. Then I had to write to the Dear Editors section in our local newspaper and tell the real story again of what happened. By the time I was done doing all those sorries, I was going to be forever 10 years old. At least I knew for a scientific fact that I would never do anything like this again. I also had to be on my best behavior with Maria Cross. and not give away any fact that she is a reviewer. My parents decided that they liked balloons so much that they gave me a reservation for the same night. But they would sit at a different table, of course. The really scary part was when I had to go to Balloon and apologize. We went on a Thursday night, that way it would have not been illegal for me to go back there the next day. The owner was a very scary French man. He did not think the story was funny at all. In fact, he was very serious and not only mad at me, but my entire worldwide family. That gave me a very bad day feeling in my belly because they didn't do anything wrong. He was red in the face and walked back and forth in front of us, throwing his hands all over the place while he talked. Finally, he ended by saying everything was okay, but it was very embarrassing for us, you know. I nodded my head because I know. I thought I knew how to make things better, actually, but I couldn't tell him because it was a secret. It had to do with Maria Cross, which meant he was going to have to wait. But he was certainly going to be very surprised by that sorry. The other sorries I would show him now. I turned around to my dad, and he put the cookie jar filled with jelly beans in my hands. I turned around and handed them to the red French man. I won this at my school fair because I guessed almost the right number of jelly beans. My parents explained that I took something away from you by saying you had bugs when you didn't. That is why I decided that I would take something away from me and give it to you. Which is why I would like you to have all the jelly beans I've ever had in my entire worldwide life. That is when the red French man made a tiny little smile out of the corner of his mouth. I'm really smart about teeny little corner smiles. He took the jelly beans from me and said, "Merci beaucoup," which is how French people say, "Thank you very much." Then I turned around and my mom handed me the poster that I made for him to hang onto his front door. It was a picture of me that I drew with a big cartoon bubble coming out of my mouth that said, "I am Franny B. Miller, and there are no bugs at Balloon. What they are is exactly snails. I made a mistake, and I'm very sorry." When he saw the poster, the other corner of his mouth gave a tiny little smile too. I was starting to feel better about everything, even snails. Then he looked at my parents and smiled at them and said, "Je suis très impressionné." That is how you say "I am very impressed" in French. Obviously, Missy does not speak French, but some of you may speak French and know exactly what I was saying. Chapter 14. Since I apologized to the owner and he accepted, I was not afraid to go back to Balloon on Friday night. And you will never believe in your worldwide life what I'm about to tell you. Maria Cross emailed my parents to say that she was going to wear a disguise to Balloon. For instance of what I mean is that when famous restaurant critics go to restaurants, they sometimes wear wigs and glasses and hats so no one recognizes them. The best part of this was that she said I could wear one too. I wore my prettiest dress, the blue one with yellow flowers all over it. That part was not my disguise, but my dad's old glasses with the lenses taken out were part of my disguise. So were the million teen barrettes in my hair. I also brought my briefcase, business cards, resumes, envelopes, pencils, and a broken remote control so the briefcase would feel heavy. When we got to the restaurant, we saw a woman waiting outside. She was very tall with black hair that went past her chin and glasses. Her glasses were just like mine, except they still had lenses in them. She didn't look anything like Maria Cross, but I wanted to know what she looked like without the disguise. "Maria, if that's a wig, then what's your real hair like?" I asked. "Franny," my mother shouted. "That is not a very polite question." Maria laughed. "It's okay." I was glad Maria said it was okay for me to ask, because I really wanted to know. My hair is long and blonde, and the glasses are fake, if you're wondering. Once we were inside, my parents went to their own table and I sat down with Maria Cross. She asked me all sorts of questions like, "Tell me about yourself, and what would you like to order off the adult menu tonight?" I did order off the adult menu. It was the most fantastical dinner I ever had. Not the food so much, but the other part. Maria gave me a piece of paper from her pad, and I got to write down all the words that came to my mind about the food. Then she explained the way she tasted the food, and it was very interesting. But my tongue didn't taste anything silky or tender. It tasted like carrot soup and boring old chicken. The surprise of the night was that Maria ordered escargot. When they arrived, they looked as buggy as they did before. I could not believe my worldwide eyes that she ate them. Then I couldn't believe my eyes even more when she liked them. Part of the food critic's job is to try new things. How about you try a snail? She asked, pushing the plate towards me. My stomach was very worryish, but like I said earlier, I'm a very jobbish kind of person. Trying new things is part of the job, then I will try new things. She showed me the way to pull the snail out of the shell with a skinny fork. Then I closed my eyes and held my nose from the inside and put the snail in my actual mouth. And then I chewed, and you would not believe the scientific fact, I liked it. Maria Cross was very proud of me for being brave. I was very proud of me too, and also really surprised that my mouth liked the snail taste. Then, at the best part, dessert. Maria Cross asked my parents to join us. You will not even believe it about the desserts. We ordered about 300 desserts to share. The best was a slice of chocolate cake, which was as thick as 80 slices put together. And there was chocolate mousse inside of it. And inside of that, strawberries. It was the best dessert I've ever had in my entire life as a person. Then Maria Cross told me about the most exciting things about restaurant reviews. You got to give out stars. 5 stars is the very best, and 0 stars is the very worst. She asked about how many stars I would give Balloon, and I told her I'd give it 5. My new review would say that this restaurant was spectacular. Telling her how good I thought the restaurant was another way of showing my sorry. At the end of the meal, we walked to her car, and that was when she handed me something. It looked like a small piece of paper, and I looked at it. It was her name and number, and it was her business card. I was so excited, and that is when I remembered I had business cards too. I opened up my briefcase and took out a business card and handed it to Maria Cross. She put it right into her purse so it would never get lost. Don't forget to look at Wednesday's paper, she said, as she got it in her car. You might find yourself in it. And then she waved and drove away. That night, I got home and wrote my second review of the restaurant Baloo. I decided to leave the N off the name because Baloo is what the chef calls it, and it's his restaurant. I wondered if Maria Cross said the same things in her review as I said in mine. I could not wait to find out what she said. I could not believe what a good restaurant reviewer I was turning out to be. Maybe one day I'd even open up my own restaurant. Elliot could stand in the front where people would give him their names, and I could be the main waitress. Maria Cross could eat for free. I'd invite Mrs. Pellington, and I wouldn't drop one thing on her. I'd even let the red Frenchman work there if he wanted. My mom and dad would have a regular table like we have in the dining room at home. It would be the coziest, best restaurant ever. I already have a name for it, Balloon. And you know what will be the special of the night? Snails. Now here is Maria Cross's restaurant review. Baloo by Maria Cross, 4.5 stars. Smack in the center of Chester, New York, sits a brand new French restaurant whose younger patrons are confused by the missing N at the end of its name. Outside of that missing N, there's not much missing at Baloo. The toasted almond and beet salad was exquisite. The pairing of salt and sweet hit just the right notes. The rosemary chicken was silky and tender, and the chocolate mousse cake with strawberries was the best I've ever had. The snails caused early alarm. Mistaken for insects by a budding young food critic, these snails even made it on the news. And well, they should. They are newsworthy snails. The standout in a sea of standouts. I travel far to dine on Baloo's snails, and so should you. They are divine. And this is the restaurant review written by Franny. Baloo by Franny B. Miller. Grown-ups eat weird things like seaweed and snails and probably other things that come from the bottom of the ocean that I didn't want to know about. Last week, I didn't know that you could eat snails, but now I do. That's because I told the entire world of Chester, New York, that Baloo, the new restaurant with no N at the end of its name, was serving bugs. Really, they were snails, and I was wrong. That is a for instance of why you should eat at Baloo without worrying. And also because I even ate one and it tasted good. Not as good as the desserts, though. The desserts are delicious, and there is nothing weird in them. Thank you for reading this. The end. So, boys and girls, today you are thinking about the lessons learned. What is the author trying to teach you in this book? Why did the author end the story the way she did? Boys and girls, have a wonderful day. Stay safe and healthy. If you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.